Light me up. Hold me near. And welcome back to Blunt Talk with Nikki and Shawn. Nikki, man.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I had an idea for a topic today.
Okay.
Because it was something that came up this weekend and I was like, huh. And one of the questions that I get all the time is, how do you balance marijuana and kids? Because I love how you separate it. So, because I
Thank
think it's
you.
important, because when you're doing adult things like drinking alcohol or smoking marijuana or things along those times, I think it's important not to do that with your kids in the room.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you are very overly cautious and have these boundaries in place to sort of make sure that doesn't happen. I just wanted to throw that out there for parents because I think it's an important topic to sort of talk about.
Yeah, 100%. I think that when it comes down to it, like monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to see because I don't want them to do. Like, it's one of those things. And I mean, they know that. I mean, I call it medicine. I have epilepsy, like pretty hardcore epilepsy. So but it's always outside and it's always away from the children. And they know occasionally mom and dad will have a glass of wine. But we don't drink, we don't drink. So, the occasional glass is cool. They know about alcoholism and being addicted to certain things. But I explain to them, the difference of addiction and the difference of, every once in a while. Meaning like once every 3 months, or like you're on a moment of celebration, I'll have a glass of wine for my birthday, or like a little bit of eggnog with, whatever, like Bailey's, in my eggnog, and they're like, oh, for Christmas. So I think it's important for them to realize, like, it's okay to do adult things when you're an adult, but in variation.
And I appreciate that perspective in a lot of ways, because in a previous life, I always used to say previous life, even though it was just a previous job. In a previous life, I used to work with child welfare.
Gotcha.
And I know the difference between responsible parenting around that stuff and irresponsible parenting around that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there is a difference. And
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about it because I think people tend to be a lot more judgmental than they need to be.
So much.
And it's like one of those things, like, mind your business, folks. Like, you don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So I got judged, of course, for being a stoner mom. I mean, I have 3 kids, and I understand that. But also, when you look at it as medicine, like epilepsy management, pain management, emotional management, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's like having a regulation of, this is better than pills. I'd rather see somebody with a joint in their hand than a fucking glass of liquor, glass of wine, cigarette, anything. I'd rather have them have a joint in their hand. And for me, it was an important part of my life that I've just always understood how I've used it in the past compared to now, and all the medical benefits that you can grab from it, whether you make it into your cooking whether, you smoke it, whether you use it in RSO for cancer patients. Like, there's just a huge variety of why it exists. And I say, well, if there's a reason, like, I'm not really religious or anything. We're more spiritual. But if Mother Nature or God or whoever you think that made this, it grows out of the fucking ground for a reason. Like us natives, we used all this like natural, medicine because all these plants have different things to help you. And they were made on Earth for a reason. They're not chemically processed. They're not made by man. They're not,
Yeah.
like they're meant for something. They're here.
And I appreciate that too, because like, so I have my own sort of addiction story, right?
Hang on.
Yeah.
You come sit. You're fine.
Oh
Grab a
yeah.
chair.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter. You can grab a chair or whatever.
Do we
There's
have a chair?
something. There's something around here. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, worries.
Okay. All right.
So I have a very interesting addiction story, because I injured myself pretty significantly when I got out of the military. And I remember going to the doctor, and then without having any sort of consultation, without any having conversation, they just prescribed hundreds of narcotics. And it was just like a blank check to painkillers.
Yep.
And that put me down such a dark path that I didn't realize I was headed, because you trust your doctors. You trust your doctors to make that right decision. But then I see a lot of veterans that struggle with opiates, and
100%.
the piece that they didn't tell me is the diminishing returns on the medication. So the painkillers only work really well the first few days.
Yeah.
And then as you're using them, the pain comes back and you have phantom pain, and the pain is worse because your body is adjusting to the painkiller, but it's not doing anything about the pain.
100%.
And so when I finally sort of realized that was when I was starting to need the painkillers,
Yeah.
and it wasn't making any difference in the pain. And so when I made that transition from painkillers to marijuana, it lessened the pain, but I had none of those really nasty side effects, like none of the withdrawals. I don't have any of the sort of like, I don't need to smoke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I was on painkillers, I needed those painkillers.
Yeah.
And the withdrawals were so intense. And so when anybody starts to judge about marijuana, the first thing I say is like, you don't know anything about somebody's story and about why they're using.
Yeah.
Because it's very likely that they're using it because it's a life-saving medicine that helps people with chronic conditions.
Yeah. So, my parents explained that to me when I was younger. And when it came down to it, it's like I watched my dad use oxys all my life until 10 years ago. He changed meds and he was a lot more clear headed. Um, but for the rest of my childhood, it was I want to say from when I was like 8 and on until I was in my 20s. He went down a deep rabbit hole with oxys. It was really, really bad, to the point to where he'd run out of his meds early. And he always kept one, on the side for pain management stuff to make sure that the doctors knew he was taking his meds the right way. Um, yeah. And it got really bad, and to see somebody in his position, I looked at that and I said, that's never going to be me. That's something that I was going to teach to my children, that, you people say you live and you learn. Well, I've watched and I've learned just fine. And to see somebody go down that rabbit hole is, I mean, it just gets further. We're talking about, meth addiction. after that. I don't see weed as a gateway drug like most people see it. Um, but any other like type of medicine, so to speak, that's man-made, I believe is a gateway for that.
Yeah.
Um, if you want to talk about weed and shrooms, we can talk about that all day long about number one, not being addicted, and number two, having the medical benefits, and number three, not being man-made.
100%. And the fact that this stuff has been around and consumed by man as long as we can remember
Yeah.
time wise,
Yeah.
like it's not something that's just come along the way. Now we've been doing this as a mushrooms, marijuana that are just naturally sort of occurring in the earth. We've been
Yeah.
using that stuff for centuries. And uh, the one thing that is interesting to me when you're talking about like mushrooms and weed in particular is that you have 0 overdose deaths.
Yeah.
0.
You can't.
And how many people have been killed by alcohol? Countless numbers.
Yeah.
How many people have been killed by opioids? Countless
Mhm.
numbers. And so when you're talking about substances, I would argue that alcohol is a bigger gateway drug to other areas because I know,
100%.
like, I know I can count more than 20 people that I know along my life that
Mhm.
tried cocaine the first time because they were drunk.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you say that. 'Cause, like, for me, thankfully, I've never done anything except for shrooms and weed, an occasional glass of wine. I've never been addicted to anything except for cigarettes. You know what I mean? And, like, that's a huge thing to say for me, but it's because I've watched it destroy so many people in my life, and I know that there's been a lot of people that have told me, "Yeah, I tried coke for the first time because I was drunk." I don't know how many times I've heard that.
Yeah.
Like, that just kinda seems to be a reoccurring, type of moment for people when they're given the offer, and they're not in a conscious mind to be like, yeah, no, I'd rather have like not a numb face right now.
It's interesting that you say that because now I'm going back through my life because I've been offered cocaine like 6 times in my entire life.
Hmm.
All 6 times I had a drink in my hand. I have never been offered that drug when I wasn't
That's
or I
good.
didn't have alcohol in my hand.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. I feel like you hang out with people that drink. It's kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
At least like 1 out of every 10. And you're like, well, since I'm sitting right here and I'm looking at you, probably not.
But then if you have the alcohol part of it too, that you lose your inhibition
Yeah.
and your ability to sort of say no kind of is dampened a little bit, especially if you're really intoxicated. You make real poor decisions if you are really drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence the gateway, that's
Yeah.
100% like the gateway is opened by alcohol of whatever you're doing. Um or anything else. We got ecstasy and molly, and there's certain things that make you feel real real good that just, well, what does this do?
Yeah.
What's that do?
And then the day after too. So like if
Yeah.
you do cocaine or ecstasy or any of those harder drugs, the day after is usually terrible. The day after shrooms and weed, I might be a little tired.
Yeah. 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 I don't even with LSD, like I've tried it once, and that was not a thing for me. um I take that back. I tried it twice. uh the first time was okay. I didn't feel much. I'm not sure if it was like somewhat of a dud or like a super low dose or whatever, but it was not the experience that everybody said it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, things were like a little bit cooler, but whatever, like I was really tired. I mean, you're talking about 10 to 16 hours. And like,
That's a lot of time.
yeah, that's too much. I'm like, well, I can hardly handle like a shroom dosage of like a microdose for like 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
Like your teeth are kind of like, you smile the whole time and you're you're like, oh my god, my muscles kind of hurt now from smiling, I need to like take a break. But with LSD, you're like, when is this over?
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you, my second time was awful. um Absolutely awful, like a real mind game for myself. And like, I was in a good place mentally, and the atmosphere and everything seemed to be right, but it was just awful. I don't And it's not man-made, or I mean, it's not like grown, it's man-made,
Yeah.
It's not gonna have the same effect that something that grew out of the ground will.
And I think too the difference is like with mushrooms in particular, you never really lose total control. Like
Yep.
things will move, things you may see some visual effects, you may see some sort of whatever. However, I never felt completely out of control of my mind on mushrooms.
Yeah, not the mind aspect.
Yeah.
You're still making the correct decisions, I feel like.
100%.
You are aware of what's going on in the moment. Like if a stranger asked you like, "Hey, would you get in my truck?" You're going to be like, "No, I'm too high for that." You're going to be like, probably not, even if you have candy or a puppy. Like, I'm good. But that's because you know what you're in for. You just know that you're fully aware that you're too high to do anything.
Well, that and it's also the fascinating part about mushrooms is introspective.
Mhm.
So like
Yeah.
at its like peak, you're still reflecting on what's happening to you
Yeah.
and processing what's happening to you. And you have these at least I do. I have these conversations, not legit conversations, but I like these
Thought
thought
processes?
processes, yeah,
Mhm.
that are all about what I can do to improve myself and what I can do to make things better,
Yeah.
instead of the opposite of like just trying to, yeah.
Hang on.
And we're back, folks. Life happens.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so we kind of want to switch gears. And because last week we sort of teased an interview that yeah, well, we'll let you tell that story, Nikki. It's
Eh.
yours to tell.
We teased the thought of an interview about my dad sharing his crazy ass life before he passed from cancer. And he unexpectedly passed. He took a nap and continued to take a nap. So we went to the funeral home today. And when I mean a crazy ass life, I mean a crazy ass life. You've heard some of the damn stories. Uh, and me and mom will have to tell dad's story as much as we can. Anyway, I do have the book that I told you about.
You found it?
Yeah. And so I have to get that out. That way I can like really show you everything. Um, One thing I will mention is he took his dead brother's identity when he was 17. And he had several different aliases. And so like the funeral home asked me, "Well, do you want a sample of his DNA?" And that's a new thing for us. I didn't know that they did that. Um and I thought about it for like a long hard minute. And I was like, well, along with Eli's past uh his ancestors and stuff like that, like I don't have anything on the bio side of that. Um, he's half Guatemalan. I have no knowledge of anything on that side. And because of my dad's family, like I hardly have any knowledge from my dad's side. And I thought he might want that. So I sat there and I thought about it and was like, well, yeah, I guess so. Like I would want that to do some like ancestry stuff. And I started thinking real hard and I was like, wait a minute. The wrong name is on my birth certificate.
Okay. You broke my autistic brain for a second. The wrong name is on your birth certificate?
Yeah.
So your dad's alias is on your birth certificate?
So my dad's dead brother's name is on my birth certificate. And I didn't, like, I got to figure out a way to change it. So I asked the funeral home, I was like, well, am I going to need to, like, prove paternity? Like, even though it's the same DNA because they were brothers, like, is that still going to be something that I need to prove for me to get my dad's name on my birth certificate?
Oh, interesting. Did they have a response?
Not really.
Okay.
They've never dealt with this before. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, my mom's not necessarily married to my dad. They did get married in Reno, but it was my dad's stage name, John Erickson. So my mom has a marriage certificate from when her and dad got married, but it says John Erickson.
And so how hard was that to navigate, like, after he passed? Like, did it become a problem, like, right out of the gate?
No, because oh gosh, this goes in like a long thing, but long story short, SSI caught him the day me and Brandon got together. And then I had to explain to essentially my new boyfriend, like, hey, my whole family is like fugitives. And my dad's been on the run for a very long time. And he worked with my dad for like a year and a half already on like recordings and, you know, just jamming and stuff like that. He's like, what? And I said, yeah, my dad isn't who he says he is. Like, we address him as John, but his real name is Dean. And he was like, what? And I said, well, because SSI found out, I said, now he might be going to prison for the rest of his life. And so we need to go and say goodbye to my dad, essentially. And he was just like dumbfounded. He didn't know what the fuck to think. And I was like, well, he's probably going to leave my house. Like, he's known me for like a year and a half and he's going to be like, this is way too much baggage. Like, so, yeah, we went to go say goodbye to my dad and we brought him in the next morning because they knocked on the door when he wasn't there. So they gave my mom the card, the number that he was supposed to call to turn himself in. And they were like, well, if he doesn't turn himself in, like there's going to be a manhunt for him and he's going to go to prison.
Oof.
Yeah. And so we turned him in and like I walked into the building and it's like an unmarked building. Like you'd never fucking know. You'd never know. And so we walked upstairs and they put his handcuffs on and they read him his Miranda rights and they were like, okay. I was just bawling. They took him into a room and they said, well, Mr. Jones, if you haven't had a warrant out for your arrest in like 10 years, we're going to let you go. As long as you switch your name back and your social security number back to where it was when you were first born, like you're free to go.
That is what you would say, too good to pass up.
Yeah.
Like, that is some crazy stuff in of itself. Like, just the idea of being arrested, saying you're going to prison, and then, okay, you have two options: prison or use your real name.
Yeah. Yeah. And it didn't go any further because he never worked under his brother's or under his real name. So everything that he did for work was under his brother's name. So it wasn't technically, it wasn't an offense.
Yeah, because he still paid his taxes,
Right.
still
He did all
followed
the
rules,
things.
and so, but he just
He used a
always
different
used
name.
a different name.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so, I mean, for what they knew,
Yeah,
we're not going to talk about the other 4 aliases he had.
that's fair.
I mean, we will, but like, yeah, he had so many, including John Erickson and something Bean. My mom knows all of them.
That's wild.
Yeah, and something Bean. Gary Bean. That's what it was. Gary Bean. And he used that name when he was, I think when he was selling acid.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of when he was doing this illegal thing, his name was this. We got a lot of stories. Like one time my dad used shoe shine to while he was running from the cops, he used shoe shine to turn his hair black, and he cut off some of his hair and turned it black and glued it on his face like if it was a mustache and stole somebody's overalls. He was walking down the street. They would never know it was him. I mean, he's blonde-haired, blue-eyed, you
Yeah.
know. So
And that's kind of ingenious if you think about it, because like you're adding facial hair. And so like in all of the movies, you think of like you see the movies where
they'll
they
shave
everything
yeah.
off and change. So the fact that he added, that's pretty ingenious. Yeah.
Yeah. It was yeah, it was something else. We got a good laugh out of all of his stories. He would tell us, and everybody's like, "Nah. Like that's not fucking believable." I was just like, "Well, if you knew our history and
Yeah.
you knew the fact that he ran away from home at 17, and I mean, this was all back in the day. Like people don't understand how old my parents are.
Yeah.
My dad was 72. He just turned 72. And I'm 31. Like, you got to think he had me, almost in his 50s. Like,
Yeah.
that's interesting to think about, of having older parents like that, especially baby boomers. And he lived in Detroit, Michigan, where he, at 11 years old, he crossed the train tracks on, he lived like a mile from 8 Mile. He crossed the train tracks to the black side and rolled his amplifier with his guitar on his shoulder into the bars, playing with, all the colored folk on the other side of the tracks, playing the blues at 11 years old.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, he'd wheel his shit down there on a carpet dolly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty progressive.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so, but when he had the incident with SSI, I was still sitting in the waiting room, and I didn't know anything. I was just sitting there waiting for him to come and say goodbye, essentially. And he walks out of the room, and they unhandcuff him. And you know how my dad kind of like, he has a limp thing going on because of his legs. He's limping out of there, and that man walks faster than any of us. Like even with his limp, like he fucking books it, right? So he's booking it down the hallway, and I look up at him. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? And he's like, come on, kid, let's just go. Let's get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, okay. So I'm following down the steps, and my sister's in the car waiting. And Dad gets in the car, and she goes, what is going on? And he was like, let's just get out of here, you know? So we show up at mom and dad's house, you know, and dad gets out of the car, and my mom's just bawling. She's thinking that dad ain't gonna come home. And he walks in the house, and she's like astounded. She's just in shock. Like, her jaw just drops. She's not even crying. She's like, what is going on? And so he told her. And when he had to go through all of his stuff to change his name, he had to go to his doctor and like tell them everything that had happened and go, hey, I need you to change my birth date. I need you to change my name, like on all of my hospital records. And the fucking doctor called the cops on him, even though he had the papers in the back of the car, like to prove who he was and everything. And he like had asked mom to go grab his papers out of the car, or something. I don't know if he was alone or whatever. He said that he had to go grab his papers, and they held him there until the cops got there. Like, they wouldn't let him leave the doctor's office. And so they got him in the back of a fucking cop car. And like, the doctor is talking to the officers, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know if the guy's out of his mind or whatever. And like, the cops took the papers out of the back of the car and looked at his chart and like with all the like court documents and SSI and all that. And they like had to tell the doctor, like, no, like, this guy's telling the truth. Like, as an unbelievable story it may be, like, this is what's going on. Like, and so yeah, I had to tell the funeral home. I was like, well, how do I put his real name on my birth certificate? And my dad, he signed Rachel's birth certificate, but they never put him on her birth certificate when it got printed. So my dad's name isn't even on her birth certificate. And so I have to get that dealt with. So like, by the time we got done doing paperwork and I like really thought about like the whole DNA thing, I was like, yeah, I might need that. And they couldn't answer any of my questions. They were like, I've never heard of this. I don't know.
And so you're able to get the DNA.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wild.
Yeah. So I'm going through some shit right now, like legally, that I don't think anybody's really gone through.
Yeah, and you're right about that whole. It was a different kind of time thing too, because like my dad, who's also in his 70s, he joined the army with his cousin,
Mm.
and his cousin was 17. So around that same time, he was able to lie about his age and just forge his age so he could join the military. So
A lot of people did that. Yeah.
and so it's like it's not that long ago where you could do that with an identity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine trying to do that now, though.
No. And the only reason why they caught him is because mom and dad were getting ready to get a loan to buy a house. They were like, wait a minute. Like, we just did like a full, thorough, like background check all the way to date of birth, and you are not who you said you were.
Wow. So he applied for a mortgage, and when they did the credit check,
Yeah.
that's when they was like, wait, this person's deceased.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And leave it to the financial institutions to wreck a good plan.
Yeah. Yeah, no joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just you know, we're going to have to do our best to tell a story now. Um there's just so much to tell. And like even me and mom are like, well, there's so much that I don't even know if we know all of it. I mean, him and mom, it'll be their 50th anniversary in May. 50 years. And I am very heartbroken for her. I may be a daddy's girl, but that's a lifetime of love.
So something I am curious about, right? And let me know if you don't want to talk about it.
It's fine.
But the aftermath that your mom is going to have to endure because of this illegal name thing, like, and her not having like right. So because technically she wasn't married,
Mm-hmm.
so she's not going to be able to access his like survivor benefits, right?
Right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
so what the
Yeah. Yeah. So, and because I'm only his daughter, I don't get that either.
oh snap!
Yeah. It would have to be a
And,
spouse.
and how? Oh, let that sink in for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So my mom is like completely untaken care of at this point in time. Um, and they ended like common law marriage a long time ago in Oregon. That's not a thing anymore.
Wait, hold on, hold on, hold on. They ended common law marriage?
Yeah.
Like,
In like the 80s, 90s.
like,
Yeah, so it used to be like if you've been together for like 7+ years, they would essentially say that you guys are married. And because of certain things going on, they just ended that in
yeah,
the 80s and 90s, especially with like benefits and all sorts of things and like roommates, blah, 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 whatever, you're going through, taxes, all that stuff. They would look at that as common law marriage. And the fact that they ended it, it was my mom's like, well, now I don't know what to do because we've never gotten remarried. And they couldn't even afford to get married anyway.
yeah.
Like with how things are, you're better off saying you're divorced financially. You're better off financially not being married.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that there is a huge penalty for people with disabilities in marriage.
Yeah.
So much so that your spouse is responsible
For
for a lot
you.
more things, but then you're punished financially.
Yeah.
So if you're in the same house and you're not married, you can qualify for in-home supports. You can qualify for stuff that you need to help you with your disability. If you're married, they say it's up to your spouse to provide those things, but they can't provide those things and still work.
Yep.
So you have to make this choice of helping your spouse or staying at work and watching your spouse be miserable because there's nobody there to take care of them. And it's
Yeah.
a vicious cycle.
It is a vicious cycle because even if you're getting like paid to take care of your spouse, it is like a third
Oh, it's a
of
pittance.
yeah. It's like here's a penny.
Yeah.
Like here's just enough to like pay a third of your mortgage.
Good luck with that. It's not even enough to pay. So they say that your rent is supposed to be 30% of your salary, right? That's like
Mm-hmm.
sort of the golden umbrella. But with how much they pay you, 30% of that would be one room in an apartment.
Yep.
You can't afford an apartment that and still be 30% of you. No, your apartment actually ends up costing you almost the entire thing.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad that poverty comes if you have a disability. It's so weird.
Yeah. And the fact that you can't get married because of it, you won't survive.
Yeah.
And so that's why my parents they never got remarried. They couldn't afford to. And I kind of think about that too, with me and Brandon. It's like, well, why the hell does the government need to know that you're in love? What makes it different by handing the government a piece of paper that says, "Hey, I love this person."
And and
Like,
that piece of paper was rooted in a history where women were treated like property.
mhm.
And so it was really a contract to give the woman some rights.
Yeah.
And like that's it. Yeah, it's so wild.
Yeah, and so, and we've talked about, me and Brandon, like, we've talked about it, and we're like, "Oh, well, maybe, I would like to get married." We've been together for fucking almost 8 years, and it's just one of those things where watching my sister and Russell be together for, like, 7, 8 years, and then her passing, and here he is without survivor's benefits and all this other stuff, like, that would be a huge benefit, but also he regrets, like, not marrying her before she passed, and we had talked about that, um, or, like, him having a celebration of love at least with her,
Yeah.
and so that kind of, hits you in the gut or in the heart, like, you think about that and you're like, "Well, fuck, I never shared that moment with my other half." And that's a hard pill to swallow if they're gone.
And the harder pill for me to swallow is that you're being punished for being in love.
Yeah,
That's the piece that just rubs me the wrong way
yeah,
because of a policy or a law that punishes you for wanting to marry some.
yeah,
That's so messed up. So dark.
100%.
It's so dark.
Isn't it though? Like, I don't know about the government and, like, it's just all a game. It's a game that you have to navigate and you have to play. And the only way to survive and have those benefits is if you know they're gonna fucking die and you get married right before their death.
Yeah.
Mm. Like, my grandma, she did that. She got married to her husband as he was dying in the hospital, and they had a wedding right there in the hospital room while he was in his hospital bed. And that's how she got, like, survivor's benefits and stuff, is like, they played it smart. And unfortunately, nobody likes to play that game, but if that's how it's gonna be, that's how it's gonna be, and me and Brandon, we had talked about that. Um, and, he has cystic fibrosis, and so, like, unless there's an unexpected, like, he died in a car crash or what the fuck ever, it's one of those things where it's like we're planning on making that step when it comes down to it. That way, as a spouse, if he starts to decline, um, early on, like, we can make those arrangements.
The fact that you have to have those conversations
Yeah.
is royally fucked up,
Yeah.
you know? It just it's like my friend was talking to me about her child on the spectrum because she's black.
I saw that, yeah.
She has to have conversations with her kids or with her child that a lot of parents don't.
Mhm.
And it's how to not look disabled when you're in public
Goodness.
because her son could get shot.
Yeah.
If he flops,
Yeah.
he's rocking back and forth. The assumptions are automatically is he's on drugs or he's armed or he's up to something nefarious. And so her son has to mask extremely hard every time he goes out in public for his own
Jesus.
safety. And so,
That's
like, these are the conversations people don't realize have to exist. And it's still fucked up that they do have to exist.
that's so awful.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, and, here I think about, our little boy's brown.
Yeah.
And with what's going on in the world today, like, part of me is, like, scared to let him, ride his bike to a friend's house alone, or walk down the street with me, or even in the store, or, like, whatever, I got to think about that, and I have to have talks with my children um about, when Black Lives Matter was going on and stuff like that. They were stupid political racial talks that I would have never thought that I would have with my children pertaining to we need to keep our family safe.
And how fucked up it is to say that we need to have a conversation about how to keep our kids safe from our own freaking government.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and on top of that, whether it's true or not, there are words being said that say I heard it somewhere, the fact that they want like 3 generations of ancestry to be US, for them to be born in the US. Well, um, on my son's side, for his bio, there isn't that. I have to think about that too. Like, sure, I can prove that on my side of the family, but like, he's half Guatemalan and like made from half Guatemalan natives in Guatemala. He doesn't have that ancestry. So it's like, well, what do you do? When you're stuck in that half and half situation, like if there is, going to be a deportation of people that don't have that paperwork trail or whatever, like what am I supposed to do with my son? And like, where is our family going to go? Because obviously we're not going to be split up. So like, where is this going to take us if this is it? And I have to, of course, I'm not going to have that talk with them now, but like if the time does come or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the time span, you know, solidifies with whatever is going on, it's like, okay, well, how am I going to have that talk with them? Like, you have to prepare as a parent of like how to not scare the shit out of your kids, but also let them know what's going on in the world.
It's a strange balance. It's a strange balance that I don't know. Like, I don't know. I guess I can't even fathom wrapping my head around when to have that conversation,
Yeah.
because it's like I just want to acknowledge, like, that's jacked up, Nikki.
Yeah.
Right.
Like when I mean when it comes down to it, I had to play that role very carefully. Uh when Anna put a gentleman away for 25 years to life. I,
Yeah.
I am trying to use nice words here. Um even though I shouldn't care. Um the courts would call me and be like, "Yeah, she has to stand trial for these 3 days." I had to make the decision, okay, do I like emotionally prepare my child for this? Or are they going to cancel it like the last 3 times they canceled it because the attorney dipped out? And then I have to put my child through this all over again of like talking about it in counseling and getting ready for Bikers Against Child Abuse to come to court with us and like all these other things. And I solely let her make her decisions. So it's like I wanted her to do whatever's comfortable for her. Um So you have to like nail down a time where you fully know the facts, at least, what you can know, what information is given to you about that certain situation, and that way you can sit your child down and have all the full facts ready for them. Because if you're having that conversation for like no reason, why put them through that trauma? You have to know what you're dealing with and when it's going to happen and everything. That way you're not preparing your child for what isn't supposed to be or what's not going to happen, but it just might. Like there can't be a might. unless it's a dire reason to have that conversation with them.
Yeah, because then you're just feeding into uh re-traumatizing your child.
100%.
And like that's like the one thing that I do know from like conversations about survivors of any kind of trauma is you limit the number of times you re-traumatize the victim.
Mhm.
You have to limit the number of times, and the system almost doesn't care.
No.
And it's one of those things where the victims, they don't have the opportunity to be more involved in the process.
Yeah.
And that has got to have been frustrating for you.
Yeah, and they did this thing where they'd cancel it, like, 2 days before trial.
2 days before.
Mhm.
So you're going through the process. So like, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So this means you're going through the process of helping your daughter. You're trying to prepare. She knows it's coming. So you're working through all of this stuff. And then 2 days before the big event, which is when the most anxiety is there, the most apprehension, they just cancel it
3 times.
3 times.
3
And
times
how much time between each cancellation?
a year.
Holy shit, for 4 years?
For 6 years, we went through this, so yeah, so, like, he got put away the first time when she was 6 years old. The Ramos Law came out in Louisiana and Oregon, and look up the Ramos Law. Beyond a doubt, all 12 jurors have to say he's guilty. And so what they did when they made that legal, they went back 2 years prior. So all of these kids, Bikers Against Child Abuse told me all of these children within the last 2 years that put these men away, if they didn't have like ours was 11-1. Just because that one juror said, I don't think he's guilty on this count or, whatever, it means that we had to go through it all over again and re-traumatize our daughter. Um, and so it took them 2 years because I was like, Mom, get ready. I know it's coming. Get ready. She was like, no, no, we'll be fine. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I think we're going to have that talk. And sure than shit, a couple months later, after I was talking about the Ramos Law to Mom and the fact that they had passed it and they were going all the way to cases from 2017, I was like, Mom, like, this is the time. And sure enough, they called me and they were like, hey, he's appealing. He had the right to appeal. He's appealing, and you're going to go back to court. And so we didn't have court for her until February when she was 11.
Holy shit. Holy shit, 6 freaking years.
5 to 6 years she had to fucking figure it out.
And the enormity of it all. After you've already been through the process, the decision was rendered, he got the just whatever,
Mhm.
and then 2 years later to see, oh, man.
Yeah, and so, uh, here we are, and I'm like, "Okay, the 3-day trial is set for, like, a year from now." I'm like, "Maybe 3, 4 months." All of this healing work that we've done for the past 2.5 years, um, is gone. It's gone because we have to go through her memories of what she's put away deep inside. We have to bring those up again so she can stand trial and tell them what happened. When we've already done all of this work for, healing trauma and, coming up with tools to help her get through the moments of when she has a lot of anxiety and a lot of thought process about what she had to do. And then it became like all that work, all that hard work in counseling is just gone. And then now we have to figure out when the right time is to prepare her for this emotionally. That means, um, while she's sitting in the green room all 3 days of the damn trial, she's got to have blankets. She has to have cuddly things, things that make her feel better. And she has to work on the tools that are going to help her with her anxiety as she's testifying in the courtroom.
And then all while also while she's freaking testifying, has to look at her perpetrator in the frickin' face
Yep.
and just sit there and watch him watch her.
Yep.
Ugh.
100%, dude. I had to get her ready for all of that anxiety and everything 3 fucking times. 3 times. And when they called me, I said, "Is this the last time? Because if this is the last time, that's fine, but after this, no more." I said, "My child cannot handle this. This has been 5 years of emotional abuse from the system being all fucked up, and it's not her fault."
And then the one thing that I would ask, and this is a rhetorical question for the ether, not for you, is why the fuck you can't record the original one with the victim, and then the next trial, just play the frickin' recording?
So
Like,
we
I
asked
don't
that.
understand. I know that that's not allowed,
Yeah.
and I think that would be a freaking wonderful thing if they could.
So, unless they're deceased, they cannot. So my sister, uh, was the main witness of everything, and Anna is the one that told her as soon as she walked through the door because I wasn't home. And, she immediately told my sister, and my sister had passed before the second trial. So my daughter didn't have my sister at her trial,
Mm.
to be that witness for her and to testify on the stand to help her. Um, Last time they made me look like an absolutely horrible mom. You know how they essentially re-victimize the victims, as the defense is going on. Um, for the people that are guilty, they break down and belittle the victim to make them look better so they could win trial. And so Anna had to go through that and like listen to me get verbally beaten by the courts. And she was so pissed off about that. But they did play my sister's recording to the the jury, because she wasn't there to testify. So there was a aspect of, okay, well, this person is out of the picture, but from their last testimony, this is what they said.
And the part that just kind of frustrates me there is because I kind of know the system a little bit, right? So I have a degree in paralegal studies.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I sort of realized when I went through that sort of program is the defense has two options. If they have a case, they go after the the evidence.
Yeah.
If they don't have a case, they go after the victims. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's the default legal strategy, and it's kind of messed up.
It is.
Yeah. Well, no, it is messed up.
Yeah,
Not kind of. It
it
is.
is. In fact, they did have evidence, but it was lost. That's what really fucking pissed me off. How do you lose evidence when you've collected it right in front of me?
That's intense.
Yeah.
That's intense.
So there was
Especially because you never get an answer. You're not going to get any answers. It's
no,
just lost. It is what it is.
and to help our defense, it was never mentioned in our case.
Say that one more time. I'm having a hard time understanding
I'm
what you
gonna
mean.
break it down for you.
Yeah.
If we say that there was evidence and it got lost, they have that's all the more reason for them to switch it around and believe the fact that we're telling a lie.
Okay.
Or the fact that it wasn't tested, or there's no proof that it was there in the first place. So we surpassed that explanation, so there wasn't in-depth explanation of it. And it wasn't something that they could use as an attack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that a little bit better, but essentially it would have hurt us more than helped us. And I'm still kind of astounded about that. Like, how the hell do you lose that? I'm sorry. And it was her clothes, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
they just lost it.
They probably actually tossed it.
Yep.
Because the case was over and they didn't anticipate, like you did, this whole thing coming back. They're probably just like, yeah, okay, it's over with. It's done.
Well, no, that was the first time.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was our
wow.
first trial.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know. That was a lot, though. Yeah, I totally lost track about what else we were talking about.
No, that's all right.
But smoking isn't my honey left me in an infused joint,
Mhm.
so I'm
Yeah.
numbing today. I'm
And
numbing
rightly
my
so.
feelings. Yeah.
And we've been at this a while talking about some heavy shit.
Yeah, it was a heavy day.
Yeah.
Lots of tears and laughter for me though today. Uh, Dad's doing some weird shit talking to us up there. Um, definitely in the funeral home. Like the door just randomly wow, like randomly opened and slammed against the wall. Like he would always fall over, kind of, just because of his limp. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming like he's up there smoking joints and like being a retard, and he probably like fell into the door or something. And that's what, your mind wants to imagine. That's what you see. But it was pretty hard. There's no wind. There was no like windows open or anything. It was just like a random, like, I'm going to open this door as hard as I can and let you know that I'm here. And it was when I was talking about my birth certificate. So I'm not really sure. I was like, okay, well, if that was him, like, at least he made me laugh for a moment.
That kind of tracks though.
Yeah.
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 Let's put a pin in this.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll air another blunt talk with Nikki and Shawn. Oh boy, was that blunt.
Yeah.
Good name for it. That
Yeah.
was pretty damn blunt.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a feeling this podcast is going to make an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a inside the world of us that people like don't know about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hardly anybody knows that you're a vet.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of like my life story is so fucking wild and fascinating that I can just tell a different story every podcast and you'd be like, that really fucking happened? Like,
Yeah.
oh hell yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like someday I'll talk about what really happened with Babygate in the legislature. You know who I'm talking about, Senator so-and-so.
At some point in time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of stories like that and,
I
on
love
my
it.
side. So
I love it. It's gonna be fun.
we gotta like have a good sit down and story tell sesh.
100%.
Yeah.
We get it. And we'll be back, folks. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Be kind. Love you.